Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to Gundam vs. Zeta Gundam and the gallery mode. As you can see, we've got Federation and AUG mobile suits, 79 out of 79. Zeon and Titans mobile suits, 79 out of 79. Mobile armor, 25 out of 25. Warship, 23 out of 23. Etc., 23 out of 23. Videos, 9 out of 9. Illustrations, 71 out of 71. Characters, 74 out of 74. And BGM, 60 out of 60. And yet we're only at 98% completion. Well, that is because there's still, something left to buy. But before we actually do that, I just want to point out that I'm not playing the normal music that starts in the BGM. I'm playing AUG Comrades. This is what plays when you're in the AUG mode for Universal Century mode. And the reason is because in my very first episode, I went into the gallery and showed off a bunch of stuff here, and this music, A New World, was playing, and boom, full block. So I had to re-upload that video and hack out that that ending section where I bought a lot of initial stuff, but I couldn't put it up with this music on there, unfortunately. So you can choose different music to play while in here. Some of it will play on an endless loop, like the AUG Comrades. Others will not. So I'm a little leery about going through all of it, but I'll at least read off the stuff. But let's go into Points Exchange. And under Benefits, we've got Collection Double Zeta Music, 5,000 points. Let's buy that. And now, BGM 60 out of 68. So let's go back in and can't get down to the bottom very easily. There's no, like, page down option. There we go. So we've got It's Not Anime, or, as it's known, Anime Janai. And Silent Voice. That is the second ending song. And Start Double Zeta. And some slowdown. Battle at Axis. Hot-Blooded Mashmere. A Boy of Shangri-La. Judo in Space. Judo 1 and Judo in Space 2. And boom, 100% completion. If you go into the Federation and AUG mobile suits, you can see that you've got all of these. And then it makes a big jump from 16 to 41. And then 54 to 77. And the reason for that is because you cannot actually purchase the recolored versions. You have to go into the secret container, and you've got a Mobile Suit 1, Mobile Armor Warship 1, and Variety. And you have to buy a lot of stuff using these secret containers. My recommendation is to let the game grind on its own for points, which I believe I showed earlier. You just have to check it every 30 or 45 minutes and kick it off again. And it'll get lots and lots of points for you. Just let it go for a very long time and just keep buying these. As long as you have available stuff to buy, and if you haven't unlocked some things, then you can't buy stuff. And it does weigh it towards the stuff you don't have. So I just do this one because you're almost guaranteed to get the good stuff. For each category. And if you're playing on an emulator, just save state. Save state, check it. If you got something crappy, reload. So, but that is the purchase item. And special item number 24. Gallery mode complete. Gold Hardo obtained. I completely forgot I got that. Huh. Alright, so now we have absolutely everything. Now let's start by looking at the etc. I think that's should be a fun thing. So we've got a shuttle, ground space. You can rotate and spin the camera, although you can't look beneath stuff. An older model space shuttle. It's used to send AUG pilots from the Kennedy Spaceport to the waiting Argama. And you can also hide the display, which is pretty nice. Tin Cod, Federation Forces air defense fighter with relatively low firepower. Its development was based on the core fighter concept. You can actually see that it does very much look like the core fighter, just with a fixed positioning of stuff. Although I don't know if there's a core fighter object in here. There might be. I guess we'll look. I'm not sure if this room is supposed to be a hangar for anything. Doesn't look like anything that looks familiar to me. But whatever. And the Saberfish, it's ground space, whereas the previous one was ground only. A Federation Forces aerospace fighter. It's also used for base defense, and is used to intercept the AUG attack on Jaburo. A few of these show up in the Zeta Gundam series. They were designed after Mobile Suit Gundam, although I believe they are technically from that era. I'd have to go back and look at the details. It's pretty fat, but it is. I kind of like it. It's got lots of boosters, which is pretty nice. And Junior Mobile Suit, ground space, a small worker mobile suit for use in space. It can also be used as a combat weapon. And one of the reasons why I want to play AUG versus Titans is because there's one Titans mission where you get to go through and blast these things. It's awesome. You can zoom in and zoom out. I like how the guy's arms are actually part of the side polygons to either side. So the kind of get this odd shape to the arm because of the shape of the cockpit. That is carrying a pretty big gun, though. And the Flying Armor ground space, prototype re-entry device developed for the Gundam Mk.II. It can also serve as a sub-flight system. This device is used in the AUG attack on Jaburo. Never actually shows up during the game. Kinda disappointed by that. Capsule. Space. A small capsule that the Titans use to hold hostages during their attempt to recapture the Gundam Mk.II. And yes, there is someone inside there. That is Camille's mother. She died. There's a mission with that in it, too. G3 canister, space. These are used by the Titans to attack the space colonies of Side 2. Even a small amount of this poison gas can wipe out an entire colony. Oh, and the fun thing during the actual show, they misspelled danger and it says Danjar. That always amused me. Unearthed Forces Federation Soldier. Unearthed Federation Forces Mobile Suit Pilot, who technically has the exact same model. No, I don't think these guys ever show up in anything either. Type 61 tank, we remember these from Federation vs. Zeon. The Federation's main battle tank. Though it's deployed in large numbers in Operation Odessa, it's effectively useless against mobile suits. It's got a bit of a high profile here, the 8th MS Team version. Bit of a lower profile, much better looking. I do like the double barrel design of it. But yeah, if you want to see a much more realistic looking version with including kind of a beige rather than purple color scheme, 8th MS Team. And the Fly Manta, the Federation's main fighter bomber. It's used during Operation Odessa and in the defense of Jaburo. As odd as this aircraft is, I kind of like it. I mean, you tend to get some of these really funky designs in Japanese anime, but I do kind of like it. Although I do wonder exactly how good the aerodynamics of it is. I suppose the bits on the front here might be air intakes. Not sure about that, though. And I'm not sure what that part is there. Ah, yes, there is a core fighter. You can see the similarity to the Tin Cod. The fighter, which serves as a cockpit for the Gundam and the RX series. It's meant to serve as an escape system for the pilot and the mobile suit's learning computer. 2-core booster, which I don't think... this did not show up in any of the UC mode events, but I think it might have shown up in some of the Federation versus Xeon battles. And this basically replaced the G-Fighter in the compilation movies, which... this, I believe, is technically the canon, as opposed to the G-Fighter. Core Fighter, which has been outfitted with a booster and weapons unit. The white base has 2 core boosters, piloted by Sayla and Slegger. Oh, and they, 8th MS team has a really cool jet core booster, which basically takes a more streamlined version of the back body, jettisons this, the core fighter body part, and just puts the cockpit right there at the front, all in one integrated system. Really nice. It's more of a bomber, though, I think. I don't know if it... it has 2 beam cannons right there at the top there. You might be able to see them. I'm not sure if the jet core booster has those. And launch. A ferry craft used to travel between spaceships and to bases. Also doubles as a lifeboat. The white base crew use it to escape the battlefield at Abawaku. I don't think that was in any of the battles anywhere. A Principality of Xeon Soldier. I imagine that they designed some of this stuff for potential use and they just never actually used it. A Principality of Xeon Mobile Suit Pilot. All have the exact same 3D model. Magella Base. A Magella Attack. Xeon's main battle tank with its gun turret detached. Without its main gun, it has very little fighting ability. And if you think the Type 61 tank is tall, you should see these two together. The detached turret from a Xeon Magella attack tank. It's sometimes used as a Zaku hand weapon. The turret's flight time is limited, and its accuracy is poor. I do kind of wonder at the logistics of this, to be honest. The Magella top. It's basically a VTOL system, which is, I guess, keeps it in flight. Although I'd imagine that firing this gun would really throw it off balance. DOP, a Xeon atmospheric fighter plane. Its domed canopy is designed to give it an advantage in visual range combat. And I believe, if I remember correctly, one of the Federation versus Xeon events had the orange Garma version, but I don't think that they have the model in this. It's just a reskin anyway. Gattle, and I believe these were in some of the Federation versus Xeon missions too. A Xeon spacecraft which serves as a fighter bomber. It's mainly used to defend fortresses like Solomon and Abawaku. It's very oddly designed. I think missiles tend to rest in between these two bottom, I don't know, pillar things that are retractable. It's a very odd design. And Dodai, Xeon's main bomber. Originally used as a bomber, its extra power output means it can also serve as a flight support system for mobile suits. I don't remember if any of these were in the Federation versus Xeon. Again, it basically overcomes its crappy aerodynamics by lots and lots of rockets. And a VTOL system there. And it fires out of the front there. And a mobile suit just stands there on the back. Zeong Head, the Zeong's cockpit section. It duels the Gundam inside the Space Fortress of Abawaku. Still one of my favorite missions in Federation vs. Xeon, where you get to fight one of these guys. Well, Char in it. Hado, the mascot of the Gundam series, the Universal Sentry Mode completion token. Hado Genki. Hado Genki. And finally, Gallery Complete. Gold Hado. Hado Trophy. A golden replica of Hado, the Gundam series mascot. The Gallery Mode completion token. Well, there's actually a... the logo down there on the wooden base. Be nicer if I had one of these in person, though. And that is it for the etc. items. which are just general miscellany. One of the reasons why you've got like 3, so there's a 1 in the lower corner, 3, 2, 1. That's because I got some extras in the secret containers, and I'd failed to save state beforehand. So, Warship. Temptation is not exactly a warship, but we'll go with it. Temptation, a military shuttle for travel between Earth and space. It carries no weapons. It's commanded by Bright Noah, former captain of the White Base. I love this design. It's really sleek, nice. It's got a nice octagonal profile. It's pretty cool. And Audumla, a large Federation transport plane. It's captured by the AUG during their escape from Jaburo. Others of this type include the Sidori and the Melord. Also, going back here real quick, it's a big plane. The cockpit portion is 3 stories. It's a big plane. And the Salamis Kai, a Federation Forces space cruiser, an improved version of the Salamis used in the One-Year War. This versatile ship is used by both the AUG and the Titans. I love this ship. This is one of my favorite... oh, that's a little bit close there. It's one of my favorite Zeta Gundam ships. So much so that I made it out of Lego. Pretty big, too. It's about 1 meter long. And the Radish, a battleship created with the funding from the AUG sponsors. Commanded by Henkin Beckener, the ship is destroyed while protecting the Gundam Mk.II. There are a few AUG versus Titans missions where you get to go in and destroy this. It's pretty nice. It's basically a less expensive version. I believe it's less expensive. Less expensive, more powerfully equipped weapon-wise version of the Argama. Although it does have a rear catapult deck, which is pretty cool, and the 2 front catapults. But the bridge does not retract like the Argama does. Argama, an assault cruiser created to serve as the AUG's flagship. Its design resembles that of the original White Base. It's commanded first by Henkin Beckener and then by Bright Noah. And unfortunately, you cannot put this into the cruising mode where the pods are extended and the bridge is extended. It's only in combat mode. But you can see the main guns there. It really does not have that many. I mean, it has these 2 megaparticle guns, which are much more powerful than any of these beam cannons. But it has fewer overall guns than the Radish. And one of the... So, the design of it is not really possible. You can see this gap right there, right beneath the habitation pods, which extend. And... if you see any of the actual artwork of it, that center part that's gray, that extends all the way down. And when both of these pods are extended, one of them comes out down there. So, I mean, this is a bit more of a realistic view where it's connected there, and let's see if we can spin around to the front. It's connected there at the bottom, so top there and bottom there, because of course, in that position, to have the full extension down there wouldn't really work. But I don't know, the little 1/1700th model kit that was produced, you pull off the habitation pod and you just plug it in down there. I'm not sure if they ever actually came up with a good explanation of how that is supposed to work, but nah, whatever. Maybe one day I'll get one of my books translated and someone will tell me. The Sudori, a large Federation transport plane, stolen from Jaburo by the AUG, it is recaptured by the Federation at the Kennedy Spaceport. It's basically the exact same as the Audumla. There's a main loading ramp there, opens there on the sides, and right there on either side of what appear to be vents, it can open up there as well. It's got a lot of places that it can open up. Musai Kai. I don't think we saw... Well, no, actually I think we did see a couple of these in some of the more esoteric alternate timeline events in the UC mode. An improved version of Zeon's old Musai light cruiser. A few of these ships are placed under Scirocco's command during Operation Apollo. Very similar to the standard Musai. It has these fins there on the side, which might have missile launchers. I'm not sure. I think it might have. It has something there on the bottom, which I'm not sure. Some just extra details on the bottom there. And whereas the original Musai had just these vents in the back, this has actual rockets. Oh, and the Musai, these vents on the side had a little dog leg up. But otherwise, it's basically the same. And Salamis Kai, an improved version of the Federation Salamis Cruiser. The Sichuan and Brunei are ships of this type. The previous one, the green one, was the AUG colors. This is one of the... Well, this is technically the Titans colors. The Federation actually has a two-tone red and blue version, which is not shown in the game. And the Alexandria. This heavy cruiser serves as a Titan flagship. After Jamaican's demise, Gady Kinsey assumes command of the ship. It's later destroyed by the colony laser. It's got two catapult decks there with a total of 4 actual catapults. Pretty cool. A little launch deck back here. And it's basically following on the Musai design with an extra pod right here for an extra engine pod, and of course replacing the Musaka launch system in the front with catapult decks. And the White Base, a Federation assault carrier designed to carry mobile suits. The Zeon forces refer to this ship by the codename of Trojan Horse. It's ultimately destroyed at a Bawa coup. I think we've seen this one up close enough times. Excuse me. Gunperry, a Federation forces transport plane. It was designed to carry aboard the be carried aboard the White Base. Its side hatches can be fitted with 3 missiles apiece. And it fails to mention that it can split open to carry 2 mobile suits. Medea, Federation supply transport plane, which is essentially unarmed. It's used by Matilda Ajan's supply corps. I think it does technically have a couple little machine guns. Trying to remember. Yeah, I can't get any further down, but I think those 2 dots below the cockpit are technically machine guns, but I'm not positive. Big Tray, a huge Federation land warship that uses a hovercraft system for movement. General Revel uses one of these during Operation Odessa. And the original Salamis, Federation Forces space cruiser, designed before the Federation began mobile suit production. It is unable to carry mobile suits. They basically hollowed out this section right here behind these weapons and put in a hangar, mobile suit hangar. And they just generally upgraded all the weapons. Like ditching... So, apparently the idea was that if that main... the main bridge up there were destroyed, you could go to either these side bridges and keep running the ship, But the ship is fragile enough, and the bridges are easy enough to destroy that when they made the Salamis Kai, they basically just said, screw it, we'll just put 2 more guns there. And the Magellan, Federation Forces space battleship with high firepower. In the last battles of the One-Year War, these ships often carry mobile suits attached to their hulls. Actually, I suppose we should go zoom in a little bit on this. I've had one partially under construction out of Lego for a while now. I do really like this design, though. Kind of gets a mixture of, battleship and, submarine, aircraft carrier, and battleship all mixed into one. Yukon, a Xeon submarine used by the Mad Angler Squadron. It's able to carry amphibious mobile suits and launch attacks on Federation bases. Very odd-looking submarine, to be honest. It's got this big fin, these pods in the back for the engines. Not sure how effective it really would be as a submarine. Gallop, a Xeon land warship. It can move at high speeds and is able to carry mobile suits, unless you're talking about mobile suits in Turn A Gundam. Rambaral uses this vehicle to pursue the white base. Yeah, Turn A Gundam, they just kind of sit there on the back. Dobday, a Xeon land warship. It often serves as a mobile command post for ground battles. Mukuve uses one of these during the battle for Odessa. It's basically just a giant tank. Actually, I suppose this, size-wise, it'd probably be about equivalent to the launch system for the space shuttle. Gao, a Xeon attack carrier. It's designed to transport and deploy mobile suits and DOP fighter aircraft. It also serves as a bomber. Yeah, I think when your cargo plane is big enough to have airplane launch decks on the wings, I think it might have made an airplane just a little bit too big. And the standard Musai. You can see some of the differences between this and the Musai Kai. A light cruiser used by the Xeon forces. It's designed to carry and deploy mobile suits. An atmospheric entry capsule is housed in its bow. Interestingly enough, if you watch the first episode of Gundam The Origin, they've got some of these in a pre-war cruise liner or passenger version. They look pretty cool. And Char's Musai. I forget what the name of this one is. A light cruiser used by the Xeon forces. Aside from the shape of its bridge, Char Aznavour's Musai is identical to the regular version. Technically, this was originally Dozel's, which is why it has that interesting bridge, and Dozel gave it to Char. Chive, a Xeon high-speed heavy cruiser, which can carry more mobile suits than the Musai. Konskan uses one of these as a flagship during his battle with the White Base at Side 6. The Chive Kai in Zeta Gundam, it's pretty cool, actually. It turns this front section into a launch deck. Gets rid of this little conical protrusion, puts in a catapult deck. It's pretty cool. And Zanzibar. This mobile cruiser is the only Xeon warship capable of atmospheric entry. It's designed for high mobility and firepower and can repair and maintain mobile suits in its hangar. I think the things on the side here are mega particle cannons, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure about these 4 indentations. I think they're either that or lasers, one or the other. And we're back there to the Temptation Shuttle. Next up, Mobile Armor. G-Defensor. And on all of the mobile armor and mobile suit descriptions, you can see the weapons with their standard ammo, and you can see mobility, cost, attack power, and durability matrix. Otherwise, it's basically the same as the things that we've seen. A vehicle developed as an accessory for the Gundam Mark II. When docked with it, the Mark II is known as the Super Gundam, and it's the FXA-05D. The Mega Bazooka Launcher. I don't know why it includes a cost and attack power, considering that you can't actually launch with it. Maybe it was intended that you would be able to, but they just found it was too difficult to have. I mean, you can't like take it into arcade mode or something like that. Part of the problem, I suppose, is that it's really only usable in the space missions that don't take place on a surface. So they only have the two breakdowns, either 0G or ground. So I guess that might be one of the reasons why you can't actually launch with it. A powerful mega particle cannon used by the Yakushiki. It is one of the largest of all mobile suit weapons and can fly under its own power. And one of the interesting things is that you got the BGM option, you've got exit, you've got hide display. Let's go ahead and do that. And there's no mention of the circle button, but circle button transforms anything that's transformable. Yeah. They actually just released a master grade version of this to go with the Yakushiki Mark II. I've got it in the mail, coming to me, although it appears to be sitting at Narita airport for like the past week or so. So who knows when that'll actually arrive. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. And our lovely little ball. Ground Space RB-79, a space combat pod created to shore up the Federation's fighting strength. Its combat ability is low, but it costs far less than a mobile suit. I kind of wish that you'd have another button that would let you do attacks, but there isn't anything like that in the gallery mode. It's kind of a shame. The G-Fighter. A variant form of the G-Armor support device created to enhance the Gundam. The G-Armor takes this fighter form when it separates from the Gundam. Oddly enough, the G-Armor is not usable in the game at all. I don't know why. Kind of should be. No transformation option there. And the G-Sky, and yet you've got the G-Sky, which clearly has the Gundam's bottom, the leg parts in it. A variant form of the G-Armor. This fighter form is made up of the core fighter, the lower body of the Gundam, and the rear section of the G-Fighter. I do like this. I do like using this one much better than the G-Armor, because the G-Armor, the nose cone here. Let's see if I can get a decent look at it. It pops down and fires the missiles out of it, whereas the G-Sky, it fires the missiles from those from right underneath there at the bottom of the core fighter. I find that these are much more likely to hit ground targets, so I like using this one much more than the G-Fighter. G-Bull, a variant form of the G-Armor. This tank form is made up of the front G-Fighter section, the upper body of the Gundam, and the core block. And the Adzam, Game Custom Colors. A mobile gun turret for ground combat. It can attack enemy machines with a heat radiation weapon known as the Adzam Leader. So the Federation colors, you can see it's got the Federation logo on it. It's just white rather than blue. And the Grabrow, game custom colors and underwater mobile armor. It's armed with very accurate boomerang missiles, which can attack enemies on the surface. So it's got basically the Gundam color scheme, or a variant of it. A lot more blue than white, but you've also got a bit of red and yellow. And Big Zom, game custom colors. A huge two-legged mobile armor with many powerful mega-particle cannons. Its barrier protects it from long-range beam attacks, and short-range beam attacks as well, other than the beam sabers, beam melee weapons. So again, like the Grabrow, it's white and blue, kind of a Gundam color scheme, with a bit of yellow. No red, though. And not quite enough white to really be the Gundam itself. And Zacrello, game custom colors. Even less white than normal, but still the Gundam color scheme. A space combat mobile armor which was abandoned in mid-development. Its mobility is low, but it's armed with missiles, claws, and a beam cannon. The missiles are definitely my preferred weapon when using this. Big Row, game custom colors. Again, the white and blue color scheme. A space combat mobile armor designed to take solo attacks. It's equipped with powerful boosters, large claws, and a particle cannon. And missiles, too. Which are, again, my preferred method of attacking. Browbro, game custom colors. I'm not sure what I would call this, considering how yellow it is. It's kind of interesting, though. No blue on it. A space combat mobile armor for new types. It can detach its wired beam cannons and surround the enemy to perform an all-range attack. So it can jettison the pods and shoot with them. There's no actual wires in this game to connect them. The cockpit is, there's cockpits on either side there and right there in the center. And these two side bits can eject as well, which is why there's another engine back there. It's pretty good for survivability, really. Unless, of course, it encounters the Gundam. And Elmeth, game custom colors. A space combat mobile armor for new types. Carries remote weapons called bits, which can approach the enemy and launch an all-range attack. And, of course, it has the beam cannons at the front, which are just utterly terrible. And again, primarily blue. I don't know why. G-Defensor, game custom colors. A support unit for the Gundam Mk.II. It has high mobility and is armed with missiles and a long beam rifle. This is a beautiful thing. The Titan's colors, same basic color scheme as the Zeta, the Mk.II. It's just a gorgeous thing. I love it. Ball, game custom colors, a space combat pod. Its main weapon is a cannon capable of making long-range attacks, giving it a large attack radius. Sure. Large attack radius. Whatever you say, game. It's basically Xeon Zaku color scheme. G-Fighter, game custom colors, a fighter form of this combining unit. It's equipped with missiles and beam cannons and can carry a mobile suit while flying. Again, ooh, I like that gold cockpit. Never noticed that, really. So again, Xeon color scheme of the green with some gray. I guess with the gray, it's more of a reverse Gelgoog color scheme, I would say. And the G-Sky, game custom colors. A fighter form of this combining unit. Its main weapons are missiles, and like the G-Fighter, it can carry a mobile suit while flying. Oh, I love this thing. Isn't this just a beautiful color scheme right there? The gold cockpit and the green and gray. It's almost, I'd actually say it's a little bit nicer than the G3. They came out with a, is it technically the G3? I don't know. They came out with a gray version of the Master Grade G armor, and it is gorgeous. Although I like that one a little bit better because of all the green, I think. G Bull, Game Custom Colors, a tank form of this combining unit. It's equipped with beam cannons and 2 shields, giving it good offensive and defensive capabilities. I don't know if I'd agree with that, but whatever. Mk.II, a Xeon mobile weapon designed for ground combat. Designed prior to the mobile armor concept, it's essentially a mobile gun turret, the Odzom. Standard colors of purple. It's great. As I mentioned in one of the earlier episodes, the original script ideas for Gundam going up to 52 episodes had space Odzoms. And after the fact, when Kunio Okawara designed them, it's basically this pod without these legs and treads. It's hilarious. Looks like a giant onion with treads. And the MAM-07, a Xeon mobile armor designed for underwater use. It's a high-speed unit equipped with claws. It shares the design concept of the space combat mobile armor Big Row. That's the Grab Row. Yeah, it's basically just the aquatic version of the Grab Row, or Big Row, whatever. Big Zom, MA-08, a huge Xeon mobile armor used by Dozle Zabi in the Battle of Solomon. Its weapons include scattering beams, a large mega particle cannon, and claws. The claws are actually supposed to be missiles. Kind of missed that part of it, but yeah, whatever. Zacrello MA-04X, a Xeon prototype mobile armor for space combat. Despite its mobility problems, the beam cannon that serves as its main weapon is very effective. Yeah, sure it is. I'll believe it when I see it. It's not like it can hit anything. Big Row, a Xeon mobile armor designed for space combat, the MA-05. With higher speed, firepower, and melee ability than a mobile suit, it's a great example of the mobile armor concept. Really, game? I don't think so. It's a bit better than Zacrello, I'll give you that. And it has, at times, kicked my butt. But I would not say that it's a great example of the mobile armor concept. Then again, this game might not be the best example of the mobile armor concept. They are a little bit difficult to use at times in this game. MAN-03, one of the first of Xeon's new type mobile armor to enter combat. It can use its wired beam cannons to make all-range attacks. I do like this one, though. I mean, I would say that this is an excellent example of the mobile armor concept. With Elmeth, of course, kicking all the others' butts. MAN-08. It kind of makes you wonder what is 04, 05, 06, and 07. Probably out there somewhere as some artist's conception. Semi-official. A Xeon new type mobile armor used by Lala Soon and feared as the Ghost of Solomon. It's equipped with independent remote weapons called Bits. And the Federation guys called it a tricorn hat. Because it does kind of look like, sort of, loosely, a hat. And that is it for the mobile armor. And I think that we will call this an episode in the next one, which will probably go up on the same day, but this will be easier to process. We will go through the mobile suits. See you then, everyone.